screen that I have, I guess, will that expand to full size? Okay. Good.
Yeah. If I got to do it. Hey, everybody. Wow. Everyone is on. Hello. Glad to see you. Let us know where you're coming from. Northern Illinois, Maine, Arkansas, Louisville, North Idaho, Central Ohio, Canada, Georgia, British Columbia. Awesome, guys. So glad to see you all here. Yeah, a lot of you. All right. So yeah, we are actually, I'm sharing the wrong screen. So Beth and I are just going to, well, we're actually get the slides up is what we need to do is get the slides up for you all. And here we go. So we will go ahead. Well, probably that's the best to do, just like that. Or maybe I'll just go slightly bigger and then bring this slightly bigger. So it gives you more of a, there we go. I think we are good. I'm going to go ahead and share this screen right here. And then when we have to switch back to, let's say Beth needs a share because she's got boxes and stuff to show you guys, she will go ahead and just go back to her size. Got Mid-Coast, Maine, Oregon. Well, welcome everybody. So glad that you are joining us. I know there was a few people last minute jumping on just to join us. So, all right. I think we've got, we're a few minutes in. And again, of course, this is going to be recorded. So you guys will have access to this afterwards. So do not feel like you need to take furious notes. Do realize that all the resources have been written down. You will get all of that. It'll be uploaded to the Kajabi Growing Farmers portal. So you have lifetime access to all of that. So just enjoy this. If you have questions, write them down and save them to the end because we probably will cover them by the end. If we don't, ask them at the end. Okay, guys? So yeah, let's we'll go ahead and get started then. And I got to share the right screen. I got the wrong screen up. So just get the right screen here. Application window. Actually, you know what? I am going to just keep it entire screen for screen 2 because we have to switch back and forth between the web as well as our slides right here. So I'm just going to share these at 150. And that should go pretty well. All right, there we go. All right, so welcome, guys. This class is all about grow your own microgreens kits. And Beth shared with me this idea I think Beth, it was last year when I was up there, and you guys walked me through exactly how it worked. And I was like, this is awesome. And then a couple of weeks ago, I reached out and said, we really should do something.
Definitely, yeah.
So Beth, tell us a little bit about yourself and your farm.
Well, we've got a little farm that we started up just a few years ago, just north of Toronto. And we started like a lot of the other farmers out there. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of other farmers. We're first generation farmers. So for us, we started like a lot of other first generation farmers with a hobby that sort of just kind of kept on growing. And eventually just decided that this was something that we wanted to do as a little bit more than a hobby. So we've been, I guess this is our 3rd year now doing farmers markets, although that's a little bit tentative right now. I think we're starting our 2 late this year, but it looks like they may go. And so that's been working out really well for us. We've been doing the same scramble that a lot of people out there have been doing, getting our business online. So that's really taken a lot of our energy in the last month or so. But we have about 12.5 acres here. We really only farm on about 1, and we use as much of a low-till kind of approach to our farming as we can, and a lot of tunnels for cover. And that's something that we've really been expanding and growing over the last, especially the last 2 seasons. And we're up to 10 tunnels now, including one really big one that we just put in. Yeah, you can see there's some of our lettuce fields. We have some of that under cover now because we just find that it's a much better approach for us. But you can see us there at market. You can actually see the microgreen kits on the table there in front of us. And one thing that we really realized at our farmers markets was it's great to have your produce there, and it's a really important piece, but there's a lot of room, especially in the shoulder seasons when you don't have a lot available, to be adding the value-added products. So the microgreens kit was one of the things that we added in as a value-added, partly because we just found that people have a lot of questions about microgreens. So they would come back and they would buy them and they would eat them, and they wanted to know sort of how they grow. And as soon as I started bringing the live trays, that really attracted a lot of attention. And the live trays that I bring to market are the same ones that are included in the kit, the same size trays. So I realized very quickly that was a really nice way to display them. And, you know, I thought maybe people might like to really try and grow their own. So that's kind of how that came about. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to know about us.
No, I think that's, yeah. One thing we didn't share about, we don't have a picture about, is the especially salad blends you do, which I think is super cool.
Yeah, those are really, really popular for us because we grow a lot of, we really do specialize in salad greens. And so we have a lot of those available, but having the microgreens too, I realized that not a lot of people were necessarily combining the two into one salad. So I started doing that, and I also grow edible flowers. So it was a really nice sort of pairing to be able to put those three things together with a beautiful label. I have some really nice packaging that it's too bad I don't have a picture, but yeah, some nice packaging that I use for that, and they get a lot of attention on the market table. So that's another really nice way to use microgreens.
Like that.
Yeah, you do. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So we have a few different ones we do. That one, a lot of times later in the season, I'll add the nuts and berries. It just feels kind of seasonal then. Although this last season, people ask for it all year too. So once they kind of get to know what you have, they start to specifically come back to you for certain blends. The basil leaf is very popular. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, if you aren't familiar with me, I'm a farmer educator, high school dropout, been thriving in agriculture for 16 years now. And so now I'm a farm coach, podcaster, and speaker. And then in 2004, we started Patrick Finley Farm, which we ran for a decade, which is a multiple six-figure multi-specialty farm in upstate New York. So now I, travel around the U.S. Occasionally, but mostly do training from my home office, especially in this time. So let's talk a little bit about where we are headed today, okay? So we've done a little bit of introductions. You know who we are now. We're going to talk first about the overview of the system. Then we're going to go through each supply in detail and give you like where you can source it and other places as well. We'll do some logistics of building. So we'll walk through a little bit about, building the kits. It's pretty easy, but we'll talk about some best practices. And then we're going to focus a little on the end, all about marketing. So, obviously the easiest way is to sell these at like a market, but there's a host of other ways that you can sell these. And I think that you can really profit from these in your business. So with that, we will go ahead and get started. So Beth, you want to kind of like walk us through the big overarching components of the kit?
Yeah, so you can see in the picture, and I actually have all of them here that I can pull out. I know we talked about opening up a box and kind of looking at it that way, but do you want me to do it that way? Okay, sure. So this here, as you saw in the pictures, is a completed kit. And they look really sharp on tables. They sort of have that nice packaged look. They're really nice. People are attracted to them as gifts because of the way they look. So then I've got another one that I've just got open here, and I can just go through the different things that are in it. It's, like you said, it's actually a very simple concept. And I think the only difficult thing about it was sort of trying to figure out how to bring all the components together and how to package it so that it wasn't a really concise little kit. So obviously you need soil, and what I do is I use ProMix, and it's ProMix MP that I use to grow my microgreens anyway. So I have that on hand. I buy it in the really big cubes and just break it down into these Ziploc bags that I buy. And I don't really need to talk about sourcing right now, I guess, right?
Yeah, we'll get to sourcing.
Okay, so so there's that, and I just make sure that I pack it when it's dry. You don't really want to have wet ProMix going into your kit, or you're going to have problems potentially later on. It's also heavier. And then I always include, these are the little 801s, we call them, the growing trays. And I always include an extra one. So I have enough to grow 5 different microgreens in the kit, but I always add the one additional, partly to be able to cover it, and we'll go over that later too when we're doing the methods of growing. So that's something, and I don't know, I noticed that when a lot of the questions came in before today, that there were a lot of people in the group watching who actually don't grow already. And I know that there can be, I've seen it before in the microgreen groups, there can be a lot of confusion when people are looking for these trays. They hear, or somebody writes, you know, get 801s, and they don't know what that is. So I brought a whole sheet, and this is how they come. It's in the nursery trade or in the farming trade. You buy these inserts. It's the same ones when you go buy your bedding plants, where they have the 12 of them with the 6 little cells, and you have that. And the way that these work is they usually have 2 numbers that they're named by. So the first one is the number of individual cells that are in the tray itself, which is 8, and then the second number is the number of cavities in each cell. So because this is just a single cavity, it's 1. So that's why they're called 801s. So that's sort of just an overview of that. And then the other thing that we have in these kits is the seed packets. And like I said, I have 4 different seeds that I package up, and we'll go over the amounts and the sourcing for all of that as well. And really the only other thing that is needed in them is, you know, your instructions. I have I guess about a 2 or 3 page instruction, and then I have photographs that I put in. Michael has reformatted all of this, and there are some amazing templates that will be available to get all of those photos and the written instructions in full. So all you really need to do is decide which one you want to use and print them. And I think that's it.
Yeah. All right. So we review the kit. This is a picture of how you have them at the stand, how you get them set there. And, you know, this is actually, so this is Nathan on the Acre, and he calls his the Micro Farm. And I love that. Great branding. We couldn't steal that name, but if you want to steal that name, you can. And then these are for a birthday. So you can see how he's got a birthday. And again, we'll talk about the marketing later, but again, Nathan does a fabulous job with this. So I know there was some questions on like, is this legal to do? You know, is it food safe and all of that? And I want to just point out a couple things. These are not food. You are not selling a ready to eat food, even like a grown product. And even if it was, you're never going to hit the FSMA thresholds probably if you were to grow those. So there's no food safety concerns with this. Okay. The other thing, like people saying, well, I'm selling seeds. Do I need a license for that? Well, you're not selling seeds as a nursery stock or as a true to type garden seed. Okay. So you're not selling like seeds that people would like plant in their garden. You're growing that they're going to then cut and eat. So don't have that concern as well. Okay. And like, can you sell these at your farmer's market? Well, you're assembling them and building the kits. So I absolutely believe that they should approve you as like a home built craft or something like that. They probably will be taxed as a product, okay? Even though they're consumable, they're not like a food or ready to eat food, so they will be taxed. You will probably have to charge your state tax. You will want to check with your state though on that. We're not giving any legal advice tonight. And you know, just tell people don't let your pets into them. You know, they just keep them away from your pets. You know, some cats might think they're a great litter box. I don't know. So that is the only concerns that we would find. And again, we're not lawyers. We just want to kind of broach that because we did hear some questions around that.
And really all the seeds that you're supplying are actually edible in and of themselves. I mean, yeah. I know that like I'll chew broccoli seeds sometimes just for the nutrition that's in the seeds, and peas, sunflowers, like it's all pretty basic stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's move to the next. Well, this has decided to lock up on me right now, so I am not sure why Keynote has done that. Actually, it's my entire computer that has decided to do that, which is not good. I'm not sure if I need to, hide. That might be it. All right, well, we look like we're stuck, guys. This is, definitely something that wasn't expected. Not sure if it's just my computer, because it's letting me click. What we might have to do, Beth, is you may just have to hang out here, and I might just have to it's just everything is completely locked up.
Just locked. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to it doesn't look like there's anything. There's nothing spinning. There's nothing like that. So it's like everything is just. Well, let me try to hit escape. See if I can hit escape. That did something. I might have to just reset and then come back. So Beth, I think you will be able to stay in the stream and hang out with everybody.
All right.
Yes, but I will have to. I think you should be able to keep the stream going. That is the weirdest thing, guys. Sorry about this. All right, I'm just gonna have to kill the computer and start again.
All right. You're still there. All right, I guess we're still going. Michael seems to have frozen up on the screen. I don't know what you guys can see, but we'll just wait for him to get back. This was not part of the plan. I'm trying to think of what else I can tell you about the kits while he's not here. I think probably a lot of you are planning to add these kits to other product lines that you have, and that's always, like I said, with the value added, what we've found over time as we have had our market going, and especially as more and more people got to know us, is that the more products that you have, I mean, it sounds intuitive and it makes sense, but the more products you have, the more products you sell. And so when your customers do come and see you week after week at the farmers market and you develop, I mean, I'm assuming that because this is where we sell, I'm speaking about farmers markets, but you do develop relationships with people, and it's one of those things where as they grow to trust you, they do get very curious about new items that show up on your table. And very commonly, you know, we'll bring something in and it's our regular customers who are the first ones to try them out because we've got the trust level built up with them. And that's pretty amazing for us to bring in the products. The other thing too is that, you know, the way that you're arranging things on your market table really does play into how much people buy too. And so having these things displayed really prominently on your table so that people notice them as they go by, having signage above them is really key so that it's like something extra to draw the eye into. And it kind of brings people in, they start to ask you questions about it, and I find that that's a really good way to market the stuff. And I am not sure where Michael wanted to go after this point with this. So he sort of left me.
I'm back, Beth.
I ran out of things to say.
That's totally fine.
You're killing me here.
I'm pulling back up StreamYard right now, and I will be back from my computer. It's telling me it wants me to do all this fun stuff. Okay. I just got to pull back up the slides, and we're good to go.
Awesome.
Yeah. I have never had that happen before.
I may have words for you later.
Okay. Well, I am going to actually shut down this computer and enter with the other one so I don't get... let's go here. And...
Okay, I'm all by myself again.
All right. All right, we're back.
Nice.
All right, sorry about that, everybody. All right, so we're gonna go back ahead and share our screen and just go back through. So we went to the overview. So we're gonna actually go right through now. The individual items. All right. So we've got first, Beth, the gable boxes. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I was when I was envisioning putting this together, I knew it had to have something really kind of cool looking and slick looking that would kind of get attention. So I spent a lot of time looking, and I find when I'm trying to put a product together, sometimes it clicks right away, but a lot of times I look for a long time for things, and usually I'm looking for something that has an application somewhere else. Like I'll be walking through Home Depot, or I'll be flipping through catalogs, and I'll see something and sort of try to figure out how I could use that, you know, in a different way. So these ones I found, they do come in different sizes. I like this size. It's a 9 by 6 by 6, but you can see in the picture there, they've got the different colors. And I could see completely like personalizing it using, like, I think the black would be really nice too, especially if it matches, you know, your label design or your logo designs. Do you want to talk about where we're sourcing them now too?
Yeah, you can just mention it. And again, we're going to have the complete list of resources for you all and the pricing, the breakdown. We've got some Canadian sources. We got some US sources. We're working with some Australian folks now on some Australia sources as well. So we're trying to build out the entire spreadsheet for you all. But yeah, most of these are just coming from Uline. And again, you can look other places. They may be a little bit cheaper someplace else. Uline tends to be a bit expensive, but they're super nice. It's super fast. You get stuff usually 2 days later, and they'll send samples frequently too.
I ordered some for myself because I was running out this morning and they've already shipped. Like and you know, if there's any worry about disruption with them, they seem to still have at least, you know, the basic stuff. So
yeah.
And those boxes are more expensive for Canadian customers. All the product code names that we've put in the resources, I think would work in either .com or .ca, but the pricing is different.
All right, next up is the growing containers, right? And you mentioned those are just the 801 insert trays. I think the only thing we want to bring up here is that, you know, if you buy these bulk, 25 cents per kit. If you buy these on Amazon, you will spend $1.76 per kit for these things. So the markup on Amazon is substantial.
Yeah. And usually if you're buying them for the lesser price, you're buying more, obviously. You're ordering a case. Like a lot of places will have a case minimum. But if you're growing microgreens anyway, like I said, you can use them for live sales and they go very fast. I find that you can't really have too many of that stuff.
Yeah. And next we got the growing medium, Beth.
Yeah, so like I said, I prefer ProMix. I know a lot of people grow microgreens in all kinds of things, and people sort of often experiment and find their favorite. I personally like to grow in the ProMix, and I'm able, again, to buy that in large amounts. And so I buy the, what are they, 3.8, I guess, cubic foot compressed bales of ProMix. They're huge and heavy. But that's the most efficient way to do it. Again, if you're growing already, you probably want to have quite a few of those cubes or whatever you're growing in stock anyway. So you likely already have it. They can, if they're stored outside, they can be wet. I find that they're wrapped in plastic, but they're not always completely enclosed. So I have had some bales that have been brought up to my propagation house, and my son lugs them all the way up the stairs, and I can tell by the way he's like cursing that it's a heavy one. So I would definitely make sure that you're only packing the dry. Yeah. And I usually pack the ProMix by weight. I find, I mean, we've got the picture there because we were trying to figure out how many quarts it was. But because it may be more fluffy, it may be more compressed when you pull it out. If you do it by weight, it's just a lot more consistent. So I put about a pound. So it's about, you know, that's enough for the 4 trays, basically.
And then we've got our coin envelopes.
Yeah, I was, when I was first doing this, I was fixated on, I've got to find seed envelopes. And I remember, I think on one of the flower farmer or the flower Facebook groups or something, I put a post out and I said, does anyone know where I can get blank seed envelopes? And people, like, I almost felt stupid. It was like, oh yeah, just get coin envelopes. And it was so obvious once I figured that out. But at the time, I sort of hadn't thought it through, and they're available so easily. I mean, you can get them. I buy them, like I've got, how many are in here? Like the 500 count boxes of them from Uline. But if you want them quickly, I'm sure, I mean, I go to Staples. Do you have Staples in the US?
Yep. Lots of Staples.
Okay. Yes, or any store like that. I'm sure even, you know, Walmart or wherever would have coin envelopes. It's kind of a basic stock thing.
Yep. Do you want to mention a little bit about the different types of the 4 that you put in those, because you have 4 seeds that you put in?
Yeah, I really thought about it, and I decided to do, first of all, I wanted to choose ones that were really easy for beginner growers. And so I do the sunflower, the peas, the radishes, and I do the broccoli mix or broccoli brassica blend, I think they call it at Mum's, which is where I source my seeds, because it's cheaper than the straight broccoli. It has some radish, it has mustard, I think it has maybe rapini, maybe some kohlrabi mixed in. So they're all really kind of compatible crops, but and you get that broccoli kind of thing going. It's full of, you know, antioxidants. It's really nutritious. But it's a lot more cost effective to put in to the envelopes, or even to grow sometimes for market. And so yeah, those are the 4 that I chose. You listed, Michael, I guess a couple of others under that, a spicy one. I find arugula, personally, I find arugula is a little bit trickier because it has that kind of, like when the seeds get wet, they've got that gelatinous kind of thing. And I can sometimes get a little bit of, I don't know if it's rot, but if you plant them too densely. So I personally chose not to put that one in the kits, but the kits could contain anything that you want, really. And probably things that you're comfortable growing that you could give advice on would be the best things for you to put in your kits.
Yeah.
The sunflowers, a lot of people hate growing the sunflowers because of the hulls and having, the extra covering time and all of that. I really considered not putting them in, but it is also the favorite one at market for us. And it's what we sell the most of. So I decided to do it. It's a very small tray. The number of hulls that they're pulling off is, it takes them 5 minutes or whatever. And then maybe they come back with a new appreciation for the job that I'm doing when they get these beautiful bags of gorgeous sunflower ones that have no hulls, right?
Yes. Yes.
So,
And I think the one thing too is that I kind of threw into this is that you can make some really fun names around these too, if you want. I put nutty sunnies because sunflowers had a little nutty flavor, the broccoli, antioxidant power pack. So you could name fun things around all these seeds, and that could just be that could be a way that you differentiate against everyone else that has these kits.
Especially if you're selling refill seeds later. Yeah. Because that's where the names would really stand out. If you were displaying those refill seeds separately from your kits, then those names are going to draw people in. And that's a great idea.
Right. So then we've got the labels. What different types of labels do we use, Beth?
All right. So what I've got on mine, I do our logo up here on the top of the box, and I have this little label on the front that basically just had, just grow your own microgreens kit. It tells what it contains. So I just say, everything you need to grow for 4 kinds of fresh micros in your own home. I list what's in the kit so that they have a sense of it. And the other labeling that I do, very, very basic, is the labeling. I don't know if you can, on the seed packets. I just use a little return address label that I print up with the name of the variety of seed that's in the packet. Michael has vastly improved on my labels. So your kits are going to look better than mine from the get-go.
All right, so we got those 3 types: variety, the farm, and you also put a farm sticker, which you can incorporate into your main label as well if you want, or you can stick it on the top, however you want as well.
And if you look back at those photos that Nathan has, his logo is right on, he just has the one label on the front. It's very slick looking. That's a great way to do it too. Yeah. Yeah.
So you got that, and those. All right. So then, so we came up with 4 different ones for you guys that our designer put together. So you guys can, these are Canva templates. You will get the access to them. You can change the colors. You can change anything you want. Put your farm name right down here, the website, or anything like that. And we also, in the course, there was actually a tutorial on how to use Canva as well. So we just walk you through the few steps on how, if you want to edit these, you can as well. The other thing is we created Avery labels for the little stickers for your seed packets. We created a bunch of those as well. So you can either just download them, run them through your printer, or we also created a tutorial on how to use Avery print app if you want to create your own.
Avery is the simplest labeling template out there. I mean, I started with that because you can buy your labels again at Staples, or you can order them online from Avery. They're expensive. I don't think you'd want to do that over a long period of time. You can get much better, deals on labels elsewhere. But the program for creating the labels is so intuitive. It's really straight ahead. You can import your logo, your pictures. There's so much you can do with it. So I would suggest do the tutorial and have it on hand, because I know that a lot of times we use Avery because we're changing products very quickly. So we may have different, we used to actually even label all of our salad bags and stuff. And so that would change every week. So I didn't want hundreds of the same label. I wanted, 20 or 50 or 12 of something. So that's a really good way to do it, especially if you're just starting out. Avery's a really great way to start.
All right, so the instructions too. Beth, do you want to walk through the instructions? I can pull them up a little bit if you want, and we can walk through what you've got there.
Yeah.
All right, so let me drop this down, and then let me grab a new tab, and I'll just drop this down while I find those, because I actually forgot to pull those up.
Oh.
Oh, here it is. Oh, that was quick. All right, so let's go ahead and pull my screen back up and make it just a wee bit bigger.
Say I can't.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the.
I'm not going to be able to. Yeah, you're gonna have to do it for whatever reason. The little. I don't know. Is there a way of maximizing the whole window that I'm seeing of the live?
It should be maximized. Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing is, and I can just kind of walk through it too, is again, we've created this so that you can edit this yourself. You can put your own label right here at the top, and then you can keep this sheet for yourself. And then it just talks about, how do you eat them? It talks about how to grow them. So we walk through very basic instructions on how to grow them all the way through. And again, I would recommend you try these a few times in your own home and make sure you've got a good handle on that before you do that as well. And you got some pro tips as well, and summary and that sort of thing. And then I want you all to go ahead and pull out your phone. Okay, pull out your phone and then scan that QR code with your. You should be able to just scan that with your camera app. And then what that should do is tell you that you can open up at the top. It should say you want to open up a website. And what we've created for you all is we've created an online version of the Microgreen kits picture tutorial, step-by-step picture tutorial. So you can put that QR code on your instructions and just walk people through. These are all the different steps, and it shows pictures and when they're ready to harvest and all of that. So people can just go to that, and that saves you from having to print out. Well, because we made another Canva template for you, which is the color picture instructions right here. Okay, so these are another template for you, and you can change your logo right here, but it's just the growth tips. It's a full color picture of when they're ready to harvest. Two different versions to help you differentiate. You can change. I might make these a little bit bigger, just because again, that's what people are looking at. But there you go. You've got those, the ability to print these out and give these to people, or just go ahead and put that QR code on the bottom of your paper instructions and people can scan, or we also put the URL right here that they can go to if they want to go to as well. So you guys should have plenty of great resources. Again, we wanted to make this so you guys could be up and running in under 7 days.
Yeah. Yeah. And with the instructions, the other thing that I really, when I took the photos and when I put the instructions up, I wanted to make it as easy as possible for a complete beginner. So I didn't want people to have any special equipment at home to do it other than what was in the kit. Even the photographs I took, they wouldn't necessarily be like of the seeds scattered in the tray or how they look when they're first uncovered. Not the perfect sort of Instagram picture that a microgreen grower would put on, on their feed, but more something that would be realistic what a beginner would see. And their conditions are not going to be optimal necessarily at home. They're growing in their kitchens. They're growing on a windowsill. They're not growing under lights, and that's fine. The kit works that way too. But I wanted to sort of have realistic expectations, and even things like the way that I don't know if you saw when Michael was scrolling through, but the way that we're putting weight on the tray. For the top weight, when the trays are stacked, I suggest using a soup can. And so I think we have a can of beans, chickpeas, or something, and just things they would have at home. Trying to, So just really, really basic, easy instructions, and a lot of intro. I figure that a lot of people are giving these as gifts, so the people who are receiving them don't even necessarily know what microgreens are. So in the beginning, I talk about why are microgreens and sprouts different, and exactly what is a microgreen and why. Why do we grow them? Are they good?
Yeah.
So that's all in there too. Yeah.
All right. So we went through the instructions anywhere from 10 to 50 cents. If you do these black and white, they're going to be a lot cheaper. If you do them full color, you can spend more money on it. But it kind of really comes down to what you are looking to do there. All right, so that's kind of the overview of the kit. You got the box, containers, the soil, the seeds, the labels, the instructions. Talk a little bit about the refill kits. I mean, those could be, again, Beth, I don't think we're like fully capitalizing on that yet. And I know a lot of you guys taking the class will. And so give us your feedback. We will put it into the course and make it an awesome 2.0.
Yeah, so the refill kits was something that we sort of put into play, but not in a really kind of organized, controlled way. So when I was filling the seeds for the kits, I always, I make extra ones. I will just take them with me to market, but I also will load up on a lot of the ones, like I said, that aren't already in the box. So, maybe have kohlrabi and wasabi and white radish and red radish, and just have like a nice variety of different types. Michael suggested blending. You can do your own blends if you know what you're doing. Not everything grows at the same rate, so I'd be careful about, just jumping into that. But if you already know kind of how they grow, you could do that. And then I think True Leaf and Mums, they sell, spicy blends and mild blends and sandwich blends and I don't know, all kinds of things that they've already done up. I agree that giving them really cool names, can help to sell. And Michael and I had also talked about maybe, just the coin envelopes don't come in too many colors, but there are some colors available. The ones that I do, the white ones, you can get them in the craft paper color as well. And you can get brightly colored ones, but they're much smaller. They're more the size that would fit a gift card, like a credit card size envelope. So I would think that for any of the little mustards and Nebraskas and stuff, you could definitely, I would think, fit, a teaspoon of seeds into one of those. So that could be a really good way to get a nice eye-catching display of different seeds. I personally didn't get to it last season at market because we ran out of time, but I wanted to put up I guess basically like a seed display that you would have in a store, or make one so that they were quite visible with really good signage, and have that sort of prominently displayed right beside. I also used to take these to market, like just the bags of Pro Mix, and I would sell refill bags for like $2. And you're still making a little bit of a profit on that. It doesn't cost very much to fill those bags up, but it's giving people that ability to keep the kit going.
Yeah.
And I would also have extra 801s in your booth, just in case, because I mean, honestly, you're giving them, a slightly flimsy plastic tray to grow in, which it's totally reusable. I use mine, in my prop house constantly, and I just rinse them out and they're good to go. But if somebody is really into it and they love this kit and they're growing and growing, they might love it if you had some extra ones to set them back on.
Yeah, and if you could have like a seed rack with all the different seeds up top, and then like right below it, the soil stacked up, and you could say, grab 4 seeds and a bag of soil for $8 or like $7.99. I bet you could sell a ton of those.
It's always a good plan to have those kinds of deals, because people more often than not will take those rather than, if you've got them all at $2 each, they'll buy 1 or 2. But if you've got that set up, they're going to take the whole package. It's true. There's just that mental thing that happened. Like it's a psychological thing, but it's really, really there. And then the other thing that we had talked about too was, and I don't know if we want to talk about that later or now, but setting up subscriptions for refills.
Yeah, let's talk about how we get to marketing.
Okay.
So you want to walk us through assembling these?
Yeah, so I pretty much, I do assembly line them. I do all the Pro Mix bags at once. I just set it up. I've got my scale there. I have a little box that sits on top of my scale so the bag doesn't fall over when I'm weighing it. You just zero it out with the box on it, throw your bag in there. I just do a quick pound of dirt. It doesn't have to be exact, but it just helps me to stay on track to actually have the scale. You could figure out a volume instead if you wanted to. Which is what I do for the seeds. I do not weigh the seeds when I'm packing them. But with the Pro Mix, I just find that with the consistency, it settles, right? So I think if you have something that's a lot more settled, you're going to end up with a lot more of it in the bag than if it was, recently fluffed up. So that's why I do that by weight. The picture there's just a scoop. I use one exactly like that. I bought it at a pet supply store. It's for dog food. It's for kibble. It's a 2-cup scoop. I've seen some of them where they're, like more the dollar store ones. I think those handles would break on you after a while, but just get a, decently sturdy one. And it's a great way to really quickly fill the bags up. And then the measuring spoons there, like I said, I use those for the seeds. I find that most of the small seeds, it's between 4 and 6 grams of seeds you're putting in. I really quickly figured out it's really darn close to a teaspoon. So that's what I do, because you want to fill them fast, right? You want to have your envelopes lined up. You don't want to spend a lot of time on that. And you probably don't want to be licking all the envelopes. So maybe a little bowl of water there, just to, with a little cloth or sponge, which is what I would do afterwards. I'd line them all up and I would just kind of run the damp cloth over the envelope. It's pretty fast. There's nothing really super time consuming about putting these kits together. And then the boxes, they come like this, like they come flattened, right? And I would just probably put the labels on first, because it's just easier to do all of your labels, get them backwards now. Yeah, just get them all set up, and then you can just pop all the boxes open and fill them once you have all your components done. It's really quick, and the stuff that we have fits exactly into the box, so it's a really nice quick build.
All right. And then the someone was mentioning that there is a strange sound. I think it's on your end, Beth. For some reason, it's not noise canceling, which is weird, but there's nothing we can do about that. We did talk about shipping them. That may look completely different. In the supply list, we gave you a bunch of different ways that you can different like shipping options, like different types of boxes and bags and that kind of stuff. So it may look a little bit different if you do want to ship them, which we think is a great idea.
Yeah, especially with so much online stuff. Yeah. And I was going to say also, I forgot, I was going to mention about the boxes, because they're so bulky when you are taking them with you to market, if you are physically carrying them with you for selling, they're a little bit tough to fit. Like we have the big Rubbermaid totes and the big, the bulb crates and things that we take to market, but they don't necessarily nestle in really, really well. So you're not taking a lot in one. And if you try to cram them, they do crush. So what I like to do is just, have as many as I think I'm going to want for my display. And then I take the components in a bin because they're already done, and I take the flattened boxes. And then, you're just basically like popping them open and throwing the stuff in, and it's really, really quick to replenish your table once you've sold out of what you brought. So that was the only other thing about assembling.
All right. So the next thing we're going to look at is the marketing for the this. And there's 3 things we're going to talk about here. We'll talk about first about the market display. We'll then talk about selling verbiage, because how you talk about these kits are going to make a huge difference in how you sell these. And then we'll also kind of go over a little bit about some other selling channels, which we think are possible for you. And we'll give a case study on talk a little bit about how Nathan's been doing it and exactly show kind of the systems he's been using.
Yeah, so what I do is I always try to have some trays of live microgreens, and I actually have some here on. These are the ones that I grew this week, just to, that's the radish. And that is basically what your customer will end up with at the end of, these were done on the 23rd, so it's pretty quick. That's like a 7-day grow. And we've got the peas here, and I do have the other ones on the windowsill as well. So I always like to have those at market so that they're sitting in front. They're really attractive in the little trays, especially the ones that don't get really big and leggy. So I find that wasabi was really nice to display, even though I don't have that in the kit. I was also selling them live. So that's a beautiful one. The leaves are very pretty on that. The radishes are usually nice to display. The broccoli mix is beautiful to display. So I try to have it's elevated on something, and then maybe just one small step underneath them where I have all the live trays lined up. And that lush green is really appealing to people. They come over to see what it is. Sometimes they don't know that it's microgreens. They think we're selling plants, but it opens up a conversation, and then that gets them in, and then they're close enough to sort of see the labeling or notice the signage if they haven't already seen the sign that we have up above. Advertising the kit. So it's a really good thing to have, your sign, your kits with the labels, and the green in front of them, so that that all works together.
Now, Beth, do you sample the product or you have a big sign too you use, correct?
So we have a sign that we put up above the micro. Usually like, a chalkboard sign, or we use whiteboard or whatever. We have laminate signs as well. But yeah, we find the more you explain from afar so that people can kind of know what they're looking at before they get there. Like, people don't always want to commit to your booth, but if they see clear signage, they can kind of see what it is, make a decision, and walk in on their own, and they're much more comfortable that way. What else did you ask me about sampling? We don't do like official sampling of the microgreens, but that being said, when I have the live trays there, a lot of times people would like to, especially things like the wasabi, where they want to know, does it really taste like wasabi? For them to, to pick off a little sprig of it or something, is something that we do sometimes for people.
Another thing you mentioned is that sometimes you upsell them from the cut to the kit, because it's a great progression. If they're buying, the microgreens today in a bag to go eat immediately, they can buy a kit, and then that will be ready in about 7 days.
In fact, the one of the very first people I think I mentioned earlier who bought our kits when we brought them out was the woman I considered probably to be our very, very best market customer. I mean, she will come every Saturday. She will drop $120 on vegetables and everything that we have. And because she's buying multiple bags of microgreens from me anyway every week, I would never have expected her to buy the kit. So it surprised me a little bit. And I know some people were asking about whether it cuts into your micro sales. I don't find that it does. I find that the people who are buying the kits are just so curious about it. If they decide they want to go and grow more seriously, then they maybe look into that and do that. But they're still coming back and they're still buying produce. They trust me. They are buying other things from me as well. And so I've never really felt that the two things conflicted. In fact, I'm often selling, like I said, both the kits and the live. Yeah, so definitely the benefits of eating live food. We always try to have, when we display the microgreens, that I have some laminated cards that are out where I've just listed, radish and just the key bullet points, what they're good for. So they want to know like the basics that are in there. And people are, a lot of times, even if they don't know much about microgreens, they've heard of them and they've heard, oh, aren't they really good for you? Don't they have a lot of protein in them? Which one is good for this? And so sometimes I even forget all the specific vitamins that are in each one. So having that signage up, having it there for people to read is a really, really good way to sell, because I've seen many times, people will be buying, they just want their sunnies. That's what they buy every week. But then they look over at the sign and they see what's in radishes, and their brain starts to think about, why they should have that too. And that often works for them to more than they would have.
And then this also is a great thing with kids. Is that, I've got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and this is something that they absolutely love, planting seeds. And the problem when they plant seeds with me is usually the seeds I'm trying to plant have to be very precise and can be very expensive at times as well. So this is something that they can just get involved in and play around with. So I would absolutely say, hey, you want a fun quarantine activity with your kids, or you want to try growing your own food on your windowsill? And because this is such a small kit, you can do it literally anywhere. So that's another great way to get people involved. Yeah, definitely. And we mentioned Nathan does his parties regularly. I think he does adult parties too. It's not like, I'm pretty sure he's had some bridal showers, some, girlfriend parties, all kinds of things. And it's a great way to market it. I think kids are really into it. And the nice thing about, I find kids really like things where there's a bit of mystery to it, right? So they're not sure what to expect. So with these kits too, you're covering them and you're peeking at them for the first few days. And it's something that really delights them. So it's a great one for kids, yeah. So another thing, so obviously we've talked about, let's say, the farmers markets for channels. I could also see these selling at craft fairs. On an online store. I know Nathan was considering pushing these nationwide on his online store. And I actually know there are companies that are doing that. And I think if your farmers known locally, you could push it to your local geographic area. a CSA add-on or something in the beginning of a CSA to give them when you have like a little bit light, or maybe in the end of the CSA when it's a little bit light as well. Gift stores, I think you could absolutely sell these at gift stores or florists or bookstores and cafes. And the thing about this is at that point, it comes down to the label. We've sent you some great front labels to get some really high interest and traffic. And because you're making a really good margin on these, again, when Beth and I ran the numbers, I think we were looking at like $3.90 to like $4.50 for a lot of the kit that we had put together. And depends on how you put it together, you can spend more or less. But you can still afford to sell these wholesale at maybe $10 to $12 and still allow them to do a little bit of a markup themselves. And then for the refill kits, obviously you can sell it through your regular channels. But we also talked to Beth about doing a refill subscription, is where when they buy, say, hey, you know, you're buying this now, but after you use these seeds up, would you like a new pack of seeds delivered to your house or at the farmer's market every single month or every 2 weeks, so you can keep growing these yourself? And so I think that's absolutely an opportunity. And with, you know, Shopify or just PayPal, you could very easily set any of that up. You know, Facebook Marketplace, I could see these being sold on Facebook Marketplace, even Etsy, websites like WooCommerce. We do have a Shopify tutorial. So if you're looking to get your business set up on Shopify, my friend Ray has a low dollar Shopify tutorial, which walks you through exactly how he set his entire Shopify store up. And you can find that at www.lettuceclass.com/Shopify. Beth, anything else you wanted to add to like the sales channels?
No, I do think though that the online thing is becoming, for obvious reasons these days, really, really prevalent, and the most common way probably to be getting this stuff out there. And I think that really lends itself well to subscription. You know, you're going to have this ongoing connection with your customers online. You're probably sending them emails already. You can send out reminders. It's kind of a natural fit as far as I can see, because I mean, most farmers now are, even one of our farmers, for instance, is only allowing us to sell online and bring our product to the market for drop-offs, parking lot drop-offs. So the refill kits would be a natural thing to throw up on your, you know, if you have a farm website or a business website, so that people can kind of automatically do that. And I would think that even advertising, I mean, you talked about advertising on Facebook and Marketplace, your community, Facebook community groups, a lot of them have buy and sells. They all have different rules, but a lot of them will allow this kind of thing. So just, you know, maybe look into that too. And having that local factor, people might be more likely to on too. So yeah, I think putting it into gift shops, that's sort of where we were going with it, you know, florists, and we're in smaller towns, so we have some of those really sweet little boutiques where people would carry something like this. I think that's a really good way to do it too. Yeah.
All right, so the next aspect was to walk you all through the resources that we put together. And so I'm going to go ahead and open up a quick web browser and just walk you through that. I mean, obviously we showed you the Canva templates. We've got the growth tips right here that you can have, and we'll give you template links that you can add those right to your account. We've got the right here, we've got all the box labels as well. And then let me just make sure I've got the right URL to kind of pull up the rest of the resources we got for you. There we go. Here we go, student success folder. All right, so I'm gonna go add this to the stream. So what you should have the QR, we obviously give you the QR code if you wanna add that to something. So that's just, that links right to that page. The supplies for kits. So obviously you're gonna want to go through all of this. Again, we list all different sources for things, alternative labels, alternative trays, and you know, the boxes and paper supplies, and we've got all the links as well to those as well. So you guys got access to this sheet as well. You also have the micro photos. For if some reason you want our photos to use, they are here. We've got them all just laid up. And back here, we've got the labels and instructions. So again, the 30 count labels, these will go right on a 5160, right for you, all the different top ones that we put together. Then the instructions, if you want to use those. And then we've also got, I think we had a mom's price sheet just because you sent it to me, Beth. And again, on seeds, guys, Johnny's is kind of expensive. I'm going to tell you that right up in front. I mean, Johnny's seeds are 4 times sometimes what Mum's prices were.
For the microgreens. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I think that price list that I gave you is 2018, or it was an outdated one because I don't really use a price list. I phone my rep. And that's the other thing, if you are growing, especially with worrying about seed availability, but even quality, like I will not order, for instance, sunflower refill. Like I buy, I just put an order in for 60 kilos, but I won't buy them without phoning my rep first because they're not all equal. So it's good to compare prices, good to talk to the reps. Don't be afraid to call them because you can find a lot of variance between companies and between batches. So that's something to always keep in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Then I think the last thing we were going to do is just show a little bit of what Nathan was doing, because we loved his, this is his display at market. He took an old ladder, put some beautiful trays on it, and here are his kits. Here's all his refill. And then right here, he's got a product in a crate right there. So he's showing it. So again, beautifully laid out. He charges $20. And then he allows you to do refunds or refills of any of the 70 different micros they grow.
Does he do all 70 as his refills?
Yes.
I don't know if I knew that. Yeah, he's pretty amazing. So he's one of those people. I know that there were questions about how do you make it your own? How do you, personalize it so that it stands out? Nathan saw an Instagram post or a Facebook post or something that I had done with my kits last year, I guess. And he and I talk quite often and bounce ideas off of one another. He's, if you guys don't follow him already, have a look, because he's probably one of the very most talented microgreen growers, and he's more. I mean, he's very artistic. He works with a lot of chefs, sort of takes it to that next level. So I'm not surprised that he took my idea and exceeded what I had done artistically and really ran with it. But yeah, he's changed the labeling. He's just taken it to the next level. And did we talk about the trays that he uses? Because he doesn't use the 801s like we do. Yeah.
So what he does is he uses a very expensive, I'm going to see if I can find them. Actually, well, they're right here in the supplies. I'll link to them. We link to them right here in here. But they're like $1 each almost. For some reason, it doesn't want to let me all the way down here. Actually, right there we go. So these are from Bootstrap Farmer. They are $1 each, but they are super cute, and they make a great way, again, to differentiate yourself with these. He only includes 2 of these, and then he includes 2 lids that go on top of these. And that's how he does his kits. Sorry, Beth, what were you saying?
I think he might even only include 1 lid. So people are growing one at a time. I think I remember him saying that, because I think the lids are probably pricey as well. But those will last forever. So if you do have, you want to put a higher end kit out there where people will be growing for a long time in the same containers, it's a good way to go too.
That would drop the cost by 62 cents.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I'm not sure, but I think when I was talking to him a while back, he said he was doing one dome.
Yep. All right. So I think we've covered all the things we've done. We talked through what Lathan does. Again, these are his birthday kits, which we think are super cute as well. You can see his label right there. And I think we just wanted to cover Q&A. So I know something that's come up actually is, Beth, is people are talking about not even using soil at all, doing soilless. Talk a little bit about that.
I haven't grown that way, so I don't have a lot of expertise about the differences and running that down. I think though the hemp mats are more expensive, so you probably would be adding cost to your kits, but it would be an easy way to do it. I mean, basically you're just going to cut them up to size and throw them in there, and in fact it would even be lighter to ship. So you would save, I would think, well, a pound anyway, minus whatever the hemp mats were. But yeah, it's a good way to do it. I can't see why it wouldn't work. I mean, people love growing on hemp or, the jute or whatever it is that they're growing on. I just don't grow that way, so I don't have any sourcing for that or advice on it other than to try it.
Yeah, and if you guys have questions, feel free to drop those now in the chat, and we'll go through them. I see we got a couple here. Jim has a question. about a bottom tray.
Yeah, so I really thought about that. I didn't want to add a lot of extra cost. I wasn't even sure if they made a bottom tray specifically sized for one little 801. So I didn't include it. And what I do is in the instructions, I try to make it something that you could do in your kitchen without any extra equipment. And so I suggest using a plate or a cookie tray. If they wanted to do all of their 801s at once, they would easily fit into a Corningware or a cookie tray or something. And it's usually going to be in someone's kitchen anyway. So that was sort of how I got around that.
Absolutely, yeah. And then someone's asking, do you break down the boxes aftermarket?
You could. I don't, because I find they get a little dog-eared. You're pulling, I don't know if you can see here, these tabs here are going through this little hole. So once you've kind of folded it up and you're putting it through and then pulling it out a number of times, they don't look as nice if you're pulling them apart a lot. You can do it, and we do open them at market sometimes to show people. A lot of times though, I'll just have one that I'm opening and closing to show people if they want to see inside. Or you could actually even have the components out if you wanted. It depends on how much display you've got available to you. But that's one of the reasons why I suggest only making up as many as you need at market at the time, so that they do stay crisp looking and they're going to last long. Oh, and don't let them get wet. We did make that mistake once. We didn't back our trailer properly after market, and the rain got through the top of it, and I didn't realize got into the bin where we were storing the kits. And so the next week when I went to get them out, they were growing inside the seed packets, because basically the seeds just wanted to get going. So they had a little water and they did.
And someone's asking about the amount for the sunnies and peas. For the sunnies, it's 20 grams, and for the peas, it's 30 grams.
Yeah, and again, I recommend finding a scoop in your kitchen or a measuring spoon or something that kind of equals that, or just something that you kind of know that you can use, and just do them that way. Just do them by volume.
And then someone was asking, watering above or below?
So for the kits, I just recommend that they water them. I don't even get into how they should water them. I don't want them to worry about making mistakes. I don't, it's one of those things. I know most microgreen growers water from the bottom. I'm a little, I shouldn't even say this because I know I'd probably get my hand slapped, but I do tend to water a lot of mine from above. And I have a few reasons for doing that. One, I find that I don't do that with the fine ones, but with peas and sunnies, the peas are really thirsty. I find it's a very, very quick way to water a lot of trays. So I do that with the peas. They're almost waterproof. Like, they don't seem to have any ill effect from being top water. The sunnies, I like to water from above too, because a lot of times they bring dirt up with the hulls, and that can settle onto the leaves. I find it's a great way to keep rinsing them as you're growing them and help the hulls to fall off. So personally, I do both, but for the kits, I don't really specify for people. They'll figure it out. It's a very small container, and they'll get some water. As long as it's not soaked or so dry the stuff is dying, they're good.
Sterilizing seeds?
Not for the kits. I don't ask people, again, I don't, it's a very small amount. The density is reasonable. From my own growing, I don't anymore. I used to pre-soak them in. I do soak the sunnies and the peas still, and I'm not doing beets and chard, but anymore very much. But I soak that kind of thing. But I used to put in I buy the 35% peroxide. I would mix that in a very light concentration and just do maybe a half hour or a few minutes, whatever, in that, and then do my overnight soak. I don't do that anymore, and I'm not really having problems. But I think that's so individual, because everyone's conditions are different. Everybody's soil is different. Everybody's seed batch is different. Your humidity is different. So I would say, if you're trying to figure out which way to go, do a bit of both and see what works for you. And what works might not work in the fall or the heat of the summer. Just with microgreens, you're constantly tweaking and changing, and just when you think you have it nailed, something weird happens and you're kind of learning something again. So there's no absolute in that. I find that the more people you talk to, the more methods there are to do this. So if you want to sterilize the seeds first, then do it. If you don't, and you don't have any problems, don't. I do use a spray bottle though with about I take the 35 down to about 3.5%, and I will spritz while I'm seeding the trays, and if I have any problems with mold. Okay, how deep is the soil in the 801s? Not very. It's maybe 2/3. The refill kits. Well, the refill kits you could do any way you wanted. I so far have just taken the seed envelopes and the containers of or the Ziploc bags of soil with me to market so that people can replenish week to week. But I could see doing it all kinds of ways. I mean, you could actually even have a nice bag, and we listed some of those bags in the resources too. Some of them are fancier than others. Some are very simple. They have different prices, but you could do a refill kit in a bag or a smaller. You might not need the full size bag, but get a smaller one that's similar, and put a label on it. I think it would be a good idea. The seeds are usually made for microgreen specifically. I think
that's important.
Yeah. So okay, let me at the store or 50 pounds black oil sunflower seeds. You could, but you're not going to get the quality. You don't know. I mean, if you don't know what purpose those black oil sunflower seeds were intended. So if it's animal feed, I don't know if they're spraying them for bugs. I don't know. Like it's really hard to know how those have been treated. I like to buy from a reputable source. I like to be able to put on a label when I market these kits that they're certified organic seeds. I get the organic pro mix too, so I put that on my labels that it's certified organic. I think that goes a long way with customers too. They're looking, if they're looking to grow microgreens to eat, they're probably health conscious and they're probably aware of those things. So I wouldn't just use any old. Mine I sell in bags. I've gone back and forth on the so the question. I guess everyone can see the questions, right? The bags of clamshells. Yeah, I've gone back and forth on that. The clamshells are expensive and they take up a lot of room when we're going to market. We do use small bags. The clamshells aren't necessarily recyclable everywhere. They are in some places. I know there are the compostable ones. My municipality, I don't think would take those in our program anyway. So having compostable clamshells, I don't know if it would be more environmentally friendly. I suspect they would end up in our recycling program, at which point I don't know if that would contaminate the recycling. Like I don't really know if we're set up completely for that. So I have opted for bags. I know people are all over on that. Some people feel the clamshells keep them fresher. Some people feel the bags keep them fresher. Ours will go for 2 weeks in the fridge. So I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, the coin envelope on this is 3 by 4.5 inches, and that's listed in the supplies for kits as well.
Yeah, I used to do, just to answer, I used to do a larger, and I do have, when I held them up, I do have the 2 different size envelopes, but when we were, preparing for this, the only thing, I thought the peas and the sunnies needed the bigger envelope, but when I tested it, they fit in the small ones too. So if you want to buy 2 boxes, spend the money it's fine, but you don't have to. Absolutely, you could use this idea for herbs. Yeah, it's a great idea. You could use it for all kinds of different gardens, as long as you have seeds in there that you knew would grow from seed. A lot of herbs need to be grown from cuttings. So anything that has like a woody stem, rosemary, lavender, thyme, oregano, a lot of the good ones you can't grow from seeds, but you could do dill and parsley and a bunch of other ones I'm not thinking of right now. Basil. And there's so many different kinds of basil. You could do a whole basil garden. Thai, the green, the red. I mean, there's lots of things. You could do it with flowers too. I mean, it's so easy to grow marigolds and nasturtiums and even violas, and they take a long time, but they grow. Yeah.
And yes, it won't. I'm going to try as soon as I get off tonight with you all to actually send you the login. Now, the login will obviously not have this training there yet. This has to go to the editor and get edited out. All the mistakes, but this will go in there. You will get access to the resources ASAP, and so you will get that as soon as possible.
I sell mine for $15 at my market. We're considering raising that a little bit this year. We haven't decided, partly because we just don't know if we're even going to be there. So we're not thinking about stuff like that very much right now. But Nathan down in Texas, he's selling, like Michael said, for 20, and apparently is doing very, very well. So I think it's a little bit your discretion. Make sure you're getting enough to cover, obviously, your materials and your time. I wouldn't lowball them. But it does depend on what your market is. I mean, different towns will pay different amounts for things. The Pro Mix that I use is, they all have like a different initial, so it's MP afterwards, and it's the only organic one that I can actually source here. I think there is a seed starter one that's organic, but I can't find it. So it's MP.
All right, guys, if you have more questions, we'll stick around for just a few more minutes. So pop those in, or else we're going to sign off, and I'm going to go give you access to the course. Tommy's asking, what are you selling your refill kits for?
I was selling pretty much $2 for everything. So I would have the seed packets at $2 each, and I was selling the bags of soil at $2 each as well. I didn't get to the point of putting them together and combining them. You probably would, do 5 for, the same price you would do for 4 or something. I mean, you figure out your discounts and put kits together. I think you would sell more that way. I like Nathan's idea, though, of giving people the choice of what you would want to put in the kit. That being said, some seeds are more expensive than others. So you just maybe look into, but I think $2 for, a teaspoon, or, the larger one, 20 or 30 grams of seeds is plenty. I mean, you're making money on that.
Johnny's makes its money on its home gardeners, although the commercial growers make, I think, up 3/4 of their sales or something like that. I mean, there's a reason they are probably this year, probably about a $50 to $60 million a year company, because seeds, when you sell them in little tiny bits, they make really good money.
Yeah, I know a lot of times, even when we're looking at, how much we need to grow for something, and it's something that's not our main crop, we'll look and we'll think, well, we only need X number, and you can get 100 seeds in a packet. And then you look at the next size up, and it's, 1,000 or 10,000, and it's like, half $1 or $2 more or something. You're like, well, okay, I guess I'm buying thousands, because it's true. Like, you can really see that that's where the markup is. So it's the same in this case. You're making great markup on your microgreen seeds. You won't, unless you're putting a lot of kits together. I don't even notice my supply dwindling when I put these kits together. It's such a small amount.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. We're going to sign off, and so we can get this video first over to the editor, and then I'll give you access to the online so you can look at the resources up there. And yeah, if you have more questions, feel free to reach out to us at hello@growingfarmers.com. Just our swag store. I know we've been messing around with that for a couple weeks now. That should be ready to be released probably this Friday or Sunday. I'm not sure exactly the day that's going to release, but super excited about that. So that's just one other last thing I wanted to mention. And stay tuned for some more mini courses from us. We've got a few more in the works that hopefully you can benefit from as well. And again, Beth, thank you so much for your time tonight and for your expertise. This was fabulous.
It was fun. Yeah, except for the part where you disappeared. It was all good.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.